This is a video on how to mod the Veuii 2 Omap box in order to withstand the brownouts on the main power line. In order to do that, you have to disassemble 4 screws. Disassemble the unit by removing those 4 screws. I'm kind of done over here with them already to save some time. You slide out the box. You always have to unscrew it from the side of the ref connectors, otherwise the ref connectors won't let you pull it out from the other side. Next step is to detach RF board from the control board, and you're doing it by sliding. There are 2 connectors, one here and one here, so you have to spread the pressure in between. Even though this one is on pop, I'm still kind of trying to keep it steady and flat so you won't bend the connectors. There is still one wire connected over here. There are 2 little tabs that you can press on to remove the board. Sliding it out, and now we can completely detach the RF board from control board. Next thing we do, we have 2 screws with the standoffs. In order to remove them, we have to use 2 Phillips screwdrivers. You got to be very careful not to damage any components on the board. And in my case, I've already done it, so it's gonna go pretty easy, but sometimes it will take some actual force because all the screws are locked tight in order for them not to pop out with vibration. So now we have to detach the LCM module off of the control board. LCM's got 2 connectors, one over here and one underneath on the other side. So we have to kind of try to prime it from one side and then do it from the other side. So now we can detach it. Put it on the side. In order to perform the mod, we'll have to short pin 1 and pin 2 on this U27, these 2 pins. Using soldering iron and some soldering wire, I'm just shortening these 2 pins right here. That's step number 1. Step number 2, why we took the LCM off, is remove 2 resistors. One resistor is R41, which is, give me a moment, I'll find it a little bit later. The second resistor is R25. I'm just heating up the resistor and removing it away from the board. You gotta make sure it's off the board completely. And let me try to find R41. Is there a pause on it?
No pause.
No pause. Okay, right here is R41. We also heat it up from one side, and we just remove it and make sure that it's off.
What are they? I can't move today.
So they are R41 right here and R25 right here. Right here and R41 right here. So next thing that we want to do is place the Kapton tape over here, because when the screw comes in, you have to be very careful not to short any traces that go on the side of that screw. And when some people put in a little bit more torque on the screw, they'll just short those traces to the ground. So I'm gonna send you a roll of Kapton tape. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna use some scissors and a little piece of Kapton tape in order to prevent that from happening. Placing Kapton tape right here so we can cover a little bit of the hole, and when I'll push the screw in, it will go through and be held by the screw. So next thing we do, we place the LCM back. As you see, this is no unpopulated connector, and it's facing towards the Ethernet and the USB port. So you got to be very careful with those connectors. They're not designed on being plugged and unplugged many times. So you make sure it fits a little bit, and then you use equal pressure on both sides to snap it on. Make sure it's snapped on. Double check there is no spacing on the connector here, and you can't really see it, but you look inside for a second connector to make sure it's all snapped on. And then you will have to use some Loctite in order to fix the screws. Go grab some Loctite. You can use green or blue Loctite for this purpose. Try not to use red Loctite because it will be impossible in the future to remove them. So I'm using same screwdrivers. In order to tie them together. Also, you gotta be careful not to damage any components with the screwdrivers. So next thing we want to do, we want to route the wires the way I'm showing right here. This little board goes in this opening and snaps onto PCI Express slot. You just push firmly towards the connector, and then push it down, clicks and snaps, and then you make sure that no wires are jammed between this connector and the board. Connecting two connectors on the side, pressing firmly on both sides, connecting, applying the board and slide it in. Sometimes you will have to adjust a little bit over here with the finger for the board to go into the slots. And that's it. Now you just screw 4 screws back and you're done with the unit. After that, you have to try to start the board, try to power it on, and make sure it works. That's it. This is how you perform the mod for USB brownout.